Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. I hope you guys are having a great day. Palantir Technologies climbs up about 5% on the day, hitting a key resistance in an interesting trading area after they announce a new critical partnership with an industry that is expected to explode in terms of revenue pooling in over the next decade. We also have key inflationary data that will be released tomorrow, and we see the markets that are starting to push the brakes a little bit, awaiting to see what will be happening with the probability of those first interest rate cuts. We also have some interesting things happening with NVIDIA, so stay tuned because we have a lot to digest. If you are a new or returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos, and of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now, what we see on the screen here is Palantir Technologies up about 5%, including the after hours, closing here at 25.20. And I'm utilizing MooMoo's interface because of all the powerful tools that I can have right at the click of a mouse. Now, what you see with PLTR right here is at 25.20 after we've had the announcement of an important partnership that has helped bring acceleration and momentum back into the stock. Volume right here is at 37 million, and right now what you can see where PLTR sits is at an interesting resistance point. We've seen multiple touch points you can see here, back here in March, and even right here at the beginning of May. And the last time that PLTR broke this resistance point was right here when PLTR hit about $26. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, and I think the key inflationary data is going to have a major impact on what happens here. We're starting to see short volume that is continuing to be low, which is very bullish in terms of institutional perspective, so things are looking healthy. I am an affiliate with MooMoo, so if you want to get up to 8.1% APY on your uninvested cash and up to 15 free stocks, even if you deposit like $100 for going towards Palantir, make sure you check out the link in the description, of course, with commission-free trading and many other powerful investing tools. Now, let's talk about with PLTR and the important partnership that was established, and that is that they seal a deal right here with Voyager Space. Now, big data analytics company, PLTR, we see the swing that applies after this major announcement that happened earlier in the trading session on Thursday morning. And Voyager Space is a global leader in the space exploration types of program. Now, this agreement is going to be really focusing on developing artificial intelligence systems into Voyager's modern enterprise, and PLTR really jumped right here on the implications on how AI can really help boost the space economy. So this partnership can help rapidly advance the space and defense technology sectors by integrating PLTR's AI tools that we've seen have been very beneficial to these commercial different clients. And now we see expanding these two entities is going to be interesting to see. Now, with PLTR and specifically the actual exploration of capabilities of AI into the space system, they are predicting more and continuing funds that will be pooling into the space exploration sector right here. And even with AI being incorporated, you have BCC Research here saying that they predict that the market, it did reach a valuation of $2.5 billion in 2022, but they predict that that sector of AI being involved in space exploration may reach $11.7 billion by 2028. That's only 4 years from now, ladies and gentlemen, and this would imply a compounded annual growth rate of 29%. So if we see PLTR that is ahead of the game being involved with these different companies that are continuing to utilize AI within their space exploration programs and their actual projects and incentives, we could see market share that continues to pool into PLTR specifically. Great to see there. And what we see that the demand for AI software is also going to continue to grow, not just with space exploration, but also as long as we're seeing the chip demand that is continuing to soar. Now, if we talk about chip demand, the number one thing that usually comes to our mind is NVIDIA. And they are basically, of course, the leading competitor in developing these AI chips. So running these strong models will really depend on the demand and the power from these AI chips, and utilizing the important software that these chips demand That's where Palantir comes in. And that's why we think Palantir is going to continue to take off in the long run as the models trained using these types of chips will be required. So with this, you also see the S&P, the global market intelligence right here, they estimate that generative AI software, particularly, could grow to an annualized rate of 58% over the next 5 years to 52 billion in 2028. So really cool to see here that we're seeing a lot of entities coming together, a lot of firms and research firms explaining the amount of market capitalization that they are predicting that will go into not just AI, but specifically AI space exploration and AI software. And Palantir right now is one of the leading competitors within this industry. And it's really, I would agree right here with this article, making the most out of this opportunity as we've seen them really dive into the private sector with AIP. I mean, just look at the last few quarters and especially how AIP has really helped, I want to say, accelerate and exponentiate the results that have been happening within PLTR. And that's where we get to the next quarter earnings. That'll be interesting to see what happens. Announcement date is estimated to be about coming up on almost a month now, guys. Time does go quick. On August 7th, right now at earnings per share at 8 cents, we're still seeing earnings per share revisions in the last 90 days, 7 in the bullish direction and 2 in the bearish. One thing that I particularly do like in this case scenario here is we're actually seeing some bearish earnings per share revisions. And this is important because Wall Street has been continuing to set the bar at these really, really high levels. Eventually, sometimes these companies just can't keep up with what the expectations that Wall Street wants them to fulfill. So if PLTR has a little bit more of a realistic approach, and we saw this with their change of the future guidance from the last quarter, this can keep things on track and a correlation between what PLTR is expecting and what Wall Street is expecting, which keeps everybody happy across the board. Now, things for the market. This is what's going to be happening tomorrow. We have the Fed that will be looking at PCE index data, looking at the expenditure index and what's going to be happening with inflation. We see key semiconductor stocks that were in the red here. We have Micron. Shares actually slipped more than 7% right here after we saw fourth quarter revenue guidance that was in line with estimates. They did not beat what Wall Street expectations were. NVIDIA had an effect of that, and we saw them dipping about 1.9%. Now, what we said, the preferred measure of inflation that's going to be released is the core personal consumption and expenditures price index. Can't talk tonight, sorry. Which is the Fed's preferred measure of inflation. Now they expect PCE data to rise 0.1% month over month and 2.6% from the year earlier period. Now, we're expecting what traders are really hoping for are the continuation of these easing pricing pressures. And we're going to see this through this specific PCE data that could cement, I like that word, really cement and solidify the likelihood that the Fed is going to continue to lower interest rates later this year. We're going to see a lot of volatility tomorrow. That's my prediction. However, should the PCE data disappoint, and we've seen now a few months in good inflationary reports that show us signs that inflation is continuing to cool. However, if we see stagflation headlines hitting the tape, if we see the data that does not look like what Wall Street was expecting, we could see some changes and some selling pressure that continues within the market. However, throughout this year, every time that we've seen things that don't agree with the inflationary data, we usually kind of have a sell-off or a pullback within one market day, but that's typically been washed out the next trading day just due to the demand that we're seeing, and especially with NVIDIA that has really been holding up the broader market. We talked about NVIDIA's influence on the whole market, and it is pretty astonishing right here. Talking about that, and a video right here, we'll just really quickly talking about why they're treading the waters today. Mostly they're saying here, thanks to Micron technology, that we saw shares come down about 7%. And with their future guidance that was changing, we see, uncertainty in the chip, FOMO, blah, blah, blah. NVIDIA just kind of has a lingering effect. And that basically it also operates in the semiconductor space alongside NVIDIA. So nothing particular with NVIDIA that looks bad that we've seen in the headlines. That's just kind of more of a catalyst or a domino effect that we're seeing from Micron. So interesting to see. What do you think is going to be happening with PLTR, especially sitting at this resistance point at the 25? And what do you think is going to be happening with the key inflationary data? It'll be exciting to see what happens as we go into the weekend. Peace out. Take care. Have a wonderful day.